Hey everybody, Dan God of Thunder here. Sorry I'm a little bit late to the punch on these updates. I will blame the New Year's holiday on all of that. So anyway, big changes coming into Smite for Season 7. So let's go over the most current one, and I'm going to go backwards in time. So this is magical items are being changed. Okay, so a new Smite season always brings stuff, whatever. They're going to do Gladiator Shield Sustain nerf, not sure why. Aura item buffs, again, not sure why. Buff to Hunter crit, oh god. They're going to rework Stone of Fall, ADC Lifesteal, great, just when we needed. Physical Power Healing bonus item? For who? Okay, Spear the Magus. Mages that can always use this item are more viable than ones that cannot. Not true, they just work better in multi-mage comps. Obsidian Shard. Yes, this has become the new mandatory mage item. It's the only way for mages to do effective damage to tanks. Yeah, I would agree with that. But that being said, it's like, do they consider buying boots immediately to be a problem? Because you have to buy boots immediately to be viable too. Early game flat pen. Guardians deal too much damage. Tanks can flex into Bruiser, but it buys too much. Let's see, the percentage penetration. They want to decrease flat pen, but also make more mages viable and more build paths viable. And they're going to do more percent pen. And they're going to require mages to buy more to buy up to the same flat pen, because it used to go up to 45% on Opshard. So percentage penetration change. The plan here is to take the percentage penetration provided by Obsidian Shard and split it across a group of items, while introducing a hard cap for magical pen of 40. This requires mages to buy at least 2 items to hit the cap and deal damage to tanks. However, in this new system, mages shouldn't feel pressure to hit 40% in every game. With more percent pen and high power options, they can build more of their god synergy or to counter enemy builds instead. Opshard is now being nerfed to 20% pen. And now they'll get additional 10% on a single ability, which can exceed the cap. It's going to be more expensive, so it's going to be harder to build into, but have low power. Opshard is still going to be a lot of pen, but won't get to its previous max. So it's going to do less pen and still have shit power and be more expensive. Demonic Grip is going to be less useful because it's going to have less protection shred. Pythags is going to get better. Typhon's Fang is going to have less magical power, and it's going to have magical pen. Who cares? It's just an Anubis item. Soul Reaver is going to have an increased cost, less magical power, added pen. Is it still going to have the same passive? That's why you buy Soul Reaver. You buy Soul Reaver for the passive. So even if you increase the cost and decrease magical power, adding 10 pen is going to compensate a lot for that. The question is going to be what the passive is. Shaman's Ring is going to have... I liked Shaman's Ring, but I guess no one else bought it. And it was always kind of a little bit tricky to fit into a build. Added 20% magical pen, fine. Warlock Staff, they're going to change all that. All that. Staff of Mirrodin is also going to get pen and less power. Didn't have that much anyway. It was only 110? 100? Spear the Magus is going to have less flat pen. Shoes of the Magi will no longer have flat pen and just have 20 more power. That's a bad trade-off. Voidstone is going to provide 10% magical protection reduction instead of flat. Holy shit. That's really good now. Stone of Binding is going to decrease physical and magical penetration on passive trigger. That doesn't mean what they think it does. Because that sounds like it reduces the amount that the enemies can penetrate your armor, when it really is supposed to be you gain penetration. That's what it's always supposed to be. Dynasty Plate Helm is going to have no flat pen, which is fine, and be hybrid. No problem. Final part of the puzzle, they're going to add more power on some items: Spear of Deso, Rod of Tahuti, Soul Gem, Polynomicon, Chronos Pendant, and Telkine's Ring. In this scenario, 15 pen is equivalent to 125 magical power. So here's my problem with this. This feels like they're making tanks overall better. So the problem was you had to buy Obshard, which started at 15% pen and goes up to 45 the more pen the opponent has. Now it's going to be flat, but now it's harder to get any pen, and you have to buy into multiple items to get the same level of pen you used to have with Obshard. So I think this is actually going to make it harder for mages to damage tanks effectively. Because all a tank has to do is just buy one magical defense item, and they're not going to usually get a second one right away. So they're going to have one magical defense, and it's going to take two magical penetration items to get cut through that same level of armor. So I think this is backfiring. I don't like this. Especially with fewer sources of flat pen now. That's not good. It's also going to mean mages cannot really damage towers effectively. So mage pushes to take out towers is going to be a lot harder. Unless they're going to say that the percent pen works on towers now, which it never has. Which means this is actually a really big nerf as well to characters like Freya, Chronos, and Sol. And Oleron. Because now it's going to be much harder for them to deal effective damage to towers. Non-mage items. They're not doing anything to change that. So I think it's fine. I don't think they needed to do this whole thing. They needed to balance out some of the numbers, and they don't really want to fuck with the core mechanics of how damage calculation works, which I get. But I think this is just going to take longer to get to the same spot of magical penetration than it used to. And I think that's just going to make it even harder to be a mid laner. So let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't already hit the subscribe button, hit that, notifications, upvote, whatever the things are. Anyway, take care. See you all later.